What if I told you that in just 50 years, the combine harvester went from a noisy 65 horsepower box to a 600 horsepower beast that could swallow 40 tons of grain in a single hour? Between 1950 and 2000, a handful of legendary machines completely rewrote the rules of farming, sparking secret engineering wars, courtroom battles, and world records that still stand. These 10 classic combines didn't just bring in the harvest, they built the modern world. Let's count them down. Number 10. The Gleaner Model A. We begin with a machine wrapped in shining silver steel, the Gleaner Model A. The Gleaner brand has a fascinating origin. It was founded back in 1923 by the Baldwin brothers of Kansas, who took the name from a famous 1857 painting called The Gleaners. But the machine that earns its place on this list arrived in 1951, when Gleaner launched the Model A, its first true production self-propelled combine. The Model A was a modest but important machine. It featured a 50-bushel grain bin, an option for a 12-foot header, and it was powered by a Ford 4-cylinder engine rated at around 32 horsepower. There was even a hillside-adapted version called the AH for working on slopes. Gleaners were instantly recognizable because they were silver clad in galvanized sheet metal, unlike the bright orange of the Allis-Chalmers tractors. In fact, Gleaner was famous for being among the very first to use galvanized steel, which resisted rust beautifully. These machines were so well regarded that they earned the nickname the Cadillac of the industry. Here's the key business twist. In 1955, Allis-Chalmers purchased Gleaner. Allis was already the market leader in pull-type combines with its all-crop harvester line. By acquiring Gleaner, it suddenly owned a leading self-propelled brand too. For years afterward, Gleaner's profits made up nearly all of Allis-Chalmers' earnings. The Model A was the machine that started that golden run. Number 9. The CLAAS Selbstfahrer. Now we cross the Atlantic to Germany, to the machine that brought the self-propelled combine to European fields. In 1952, CLAAS launched its very first self-propelled combine harvester. It was originally going to be called the Hercules, but because that name was already trademarked, CLAAS renamed it the SF, short for Selbstfahrer, which is simply the German word for self-propeller. This was a landmark machine for European agriculture. Up to this point, self-propelled combines had been largely a North American story. But European fields had their own challenges: heavier, damper straw and smaller, more irregular fields than the wide-open American plains. The Selbstfahrer was built to handle exactly those conditions. It was a straw walker combine aimed at agricultural contractors and large farms. Depending on the country, it came with different cutter bar widths, 2.6 meters for the German market, with wider 3.0 and 3.6 meter versions available elsewhere. The reel and cutter bar could be adjusted vertically using a hydraulic system, which was genuinely advanced for the early 1950s, and it was a massive commercial success. CLAAS built 19,465 units of the Selbstfahrer between 1952 and 1963. This single machine established CLAAS as Europe's harvesting powerhouse, a position the company has never given up. As you'll see at number 1, CLAAS would later reach the very top of the combine world. Number 8. The John Deere Model 95. If you wanted the biggest combine money could buy in the late 1950s, there was only one answer: the John Deere Model 95. Introduced in 1957, the John Deere Model 95 earned the remarkable title of the largest self-propelled combine in the world at the time of its release. American farms were growing rapidly through the 1950s, and farmers needed machines that could swallow more crop faster. The Model 95 delivered. The proof is in the staggering production numbers. More than 39,000 of these combines were manufactured all the way through for a large-capacity, premium machine aimed at bigger operations. That is an extraordinary sales run that lasted well over a decade. The Model 95 represented a fundamental shift in farming philosophy. For the first half of the 20th century, the central question had been simply, can we mechanize the harvest at all? By the time the Model 95 arrived, the question had changed completely to, how big and how fast can we possibly go? This machine kicked off the horsepower and capacity race that would define combines for the rest of the century. It pushed the boundaries of what one machine and one operator could accomplish in a single day, and set the stage for the even bigger giants still to come on this list. Number 7. The CLAAS Matador. Back to CLAAS. Because the German company wasn't about to rest on the success of the Selbstfahrer. In 1961, CLA introduced the Matador, the machine designed to succeed the legendary Selbstfahrer. While the Selbstfahrer officially stayed in production until 1963, the Matador represented the next generation of CLA engineering and carried the company forward through the 1960s. The Matador was significant because it came in different versions to suit different farm sizes and needs, including a larger, higher capacity variant. This was part of a broader, crucial trend happening across the entire industry in the 1960s. Manufacturers were beginning to offer ranges of combines rather than just a single one-size-fits-all model. A small mixed farm and a sprawling grain operation had very different needs, and companies like CLAAS were learning to serve both. The Matador cemented CLAAS's reputation for building tough, reliable, high-quality harvesting machines for the demanding conditions of European agriculture. It kept the company at the cutting edge during a decade when competition was heating up dramatically, and it built the foundation of engineering know-how that CLAAS would eventually use to claim the title of world's most powerful combine, which again is waiting for you at number 1. Number 6. The Gleaner. Now back to that silver Gleaner line, because in the 1960s it produced one of its best-selling machines ever, the Gleaner E. Manufactured from 1962 to 1969, while Gleaner was part of Allis-Chalmers, the Model E was a self-propelled combine that absolutely flew off the dealer lots. In total, 17,300 of these machines were built in just 7 years. That's a tremendous figure that shows just how popular and trusted the Gleaner name had become. The Gleaner E was powered by a 65 horsepower, 226 cubic inch 4-cylinder gasoline engine. It was a workhorse, reliable, well-built, and clad in that signature rust-resistant galvanized steel that Gleaner customers loved. The machine was so successful that when it was finally replaced in 1969, its successor, the Gleaner K, was almost identical to the final E model, the main change being a larger 6-cylinder General Motors engine. When you don't need to reinvent a machine to replace it, that tells you the original design was very, very good. The Gleaner E represents the heart of the 1960s harvesting boom, a period when self-propelled combines became truly mainstream on American farms, and when a single well-engineered model could sell in the tens of thousands. It's a genuine icon of the era. Number 5. The John Deere New Generation 6600 and 7700. In 1970, John Deere launched what it called the New Generation line of combines, and these machines genuinely dragged the entire industry into the modern age. The New Generation included several models: the 3300, 4400, 6600, and the flagship 7700. One of the biggest innovations was the patented quick-attach header mounting system. This let farmers quickly swap out different headers depending on the crop, a wheat platform one day, a corn head the next, without an enormous time-consuming hassle. There was also a huge new emphasis on operator comfort. Just a decade earlier, many farmers viewed a cab on a combine as a luxury for the soft. By 1970, comfortable enclosed cabs were rapidly becoming standard, and Deere built the New Generation around that shift. The 7700 brought 25% more capacity than Deere had ever offered before, but the real superstar was the 6600. It quickly became Deere's biggest seller of the entire New Generation lineup, powered by a Dubuque-built engine available in gasoline or diesel. The 6600 hit the perfect sweet spot of power, capacity, and price that working farmers actually needed. For countless farm families across America, the green 6600 became the combine of their childhoods, the machine humming through the fields every single autumn. It is an absolute icon of 1970s agriculture. Number 4. The New Holland TR70. Now we come to a machine that, in the words of the people who were there, shocked the world. In 1975, New Holland launched the TR70, the first commercially successful twin-rotor combine, and the first New Holland combine ever built in the USA. The TR stood for twin rotor, and that was the whole revolutionary idea. Instead of the traditional spinning drum and straw walkers that shook grain loose, the TR70 used two rotors spinning inside a cage to thresh and separate the crop. Setting those rotors at an angle even made the whole machine shorter and more compact. The technology actually traced back to New Holland's acquisition of a Belgian company in 1964, whose engineers had already begun a twin-rotor prototype. New Holland's team finished the job. By 1969, the new design was under test, and in 1975, the TR70 hit the market with a 145 horsepower Ford engine, an optional 166 horsepower Caterpillar engine, and a 158 bushel grain tank. Why did it matter? Grain quality. The twin-rotor design threshed grain far more gently than the old cylinders, with less cracking and damage. And that mattered enormously as farming shifted from feeding local markets to feeding global ones. The design was a phenomenal long-term success. The 25,000th TR combine rolled off the line in 1997, and the twin-rotor concept evolved directly into New Holland's modern CR combines. Over 70,000 twin-rotor machines have now been built. It all started with the TR70. Number 3. The International Harvester 1460 Axial-Flow. This is the machine that represents the single biggest rethinking of how a combine actually works, and the design it pioneered still dominates fields worldwide today. In 1977, International Harvester introduced the Model 1460 Axial-Flow combine, alongside its smaller sibling, the 1440. What made it so radical? For decades, combines had separated grain using a drum and straw walkers. The Axial-Flow threw that out and replaced it with a single large rotor that threshed and separated the grain as the crop spiraled around it. This was no rushed idea. The concept began back in the 1950s, when IH laboratory research showed that an open concave and cylinder separated grain more efficiently than straw walkers. Engineers worked on the rotary concept for more than 2 decades before production finally began in 1977. The 1460 weighed around 9 tons and was powered by a 125 kilowatt engine. It was a genuine gamble. IH's own marketing team feared the unconventional design. It originally had a side straw discharge would be a hard sell. The machines were even developed in a secret facility with blacked-out windows. But it worked brilliantly. Farmers reported far less crop damage and the ability to harvest a huge range of crops with one machine. The design was so good that John Deere actually bought one of the first 1460s, tore it completely apart, and studied it. Today, rotary combines built on this very principle are the global standard. Number 2. The John Deere 9600. Now we reach a machine that many farmers still call one of the finest conventional combines John Deere ever built. The mighty 9600, launched in 1989 as the flagship of John Deere's new 9000 series, the 9600 was a massive step up in capacity and capability. It featured a larger, longer concave than the previous 20 series machines, with a 26-inch cylinder diameter and a greater wraparound for more aggressive, efficient threshing. This was a serious, high-capacity harvesting machine built for the increasingly large farms of the late 1980s and 90s. The 9000 series was where John Deere really began packing in modern technology. In 1992, new generation engines were introduced in the 9500 and 9600 models, along with automatic speed control for corn and row crop heads. In 1993, the harvest track system became standard, and in 1995, rubber-belted tracks became available across the models, a major advancement for traction and reducing soil compaction. Farmers loved these machines for their sheer reliability and capacity. You'll still hear old-timers say their 9600 was one of the best combines they ever owned. In a corn or soybean field paired with the right header, the 9600 could keep multiple semi-trucks running flat out just to keep up with it. The 9600 represents the peak of the classic conventional straw walker combine, refined, powerful, and built like a tank, right at the close of our era. Number 1. The CLAAS Lexion 480. And here it is, the greatest classic combine of the 1950-2000 era. A machine that didn't just compete for the top spot. It was officially crowned the most powerful combine harvester in the entire world. The CLAAS Lexion 480 was unveiled at the Agritechnica trade show on November 12, and it stunned the industry. At the time of its launch, it had a harvesting capacity of 40 tons of grain per hour, making it without question the most powerful combine on the planet. How did CLAAS achieve this? With a brilliant hybrid threshing system that was a genuine world first. It combined a patented accelerated pre-separation threshing unit with a residual grain separation system using two smooth-running axial rotors. Instead of conventional straw walkers, the Lexion 480 used these separation rotors for gentle, high-volume processing. It featured a large threshing drum measuring 600 millimeters in diameter and 1,700 millimeters wide. The results were staggering. The system enabled grain throughput rates in wheat of more than 35 tons per hour, and when longer rotors were introduced in 1996, that climbed past 40 tons per hour. It also featured advanced touches like active swivel-action straw spreaders that could spread straw across the entire cutting width, and an advanced cab. The Lexion 480 became the global benchmark for throughput, grain quality, and multi-crop capability in the high-performance combine class. It was so successful that CLAAS celebrated building its 10,000th Lexion in 2002, and the Lexion family later went on to smash Guinness World Records for grain harvested in a single day, for setting a world record, pioneering a revolutionary hybrid threshing system, and crowning the engineering ambitions of the entire late 20th century. The CLAAS Lexion 480 is the greatest classic combine of its era. That's why it's number one. Which of these classic combines is your favorite? Did your family ever run one of these machines? Let me know down in the comments. I read every single one. And if you enjoyed this ride through farming history, hit that like button. Subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next video.